So what did he tell you?
He said something about a hit.
A hit on who?
On Dolph.
A woman closely tied to Yodi and Dolph's convicted killer, Cornelia Smith, has just come forward, and she's laying everything out about Dolph's murder. According to her, Yodi wasn't just involved. She's pointing to him as the one behind it all, while also linking even more bodies to the situation. Let's get into it. The courtroom moment that lit the fuse. On day 2 of the Hernandez-Govan trial down in Shelby County Criminal Court in Memphis, a woman walked up to that witness box and got sworn in. She gave her name, spelled it out for the record, and the prosecutor wasted no time getting straight to it.
Morning. Could you state and spell your name for the jury?
My name is Angela Arnold.
She spelled her name out for the court reporter. Then the prosecutor moved straight into asking about the man whose name was tied to one of the most talked about murder cases in Memphis hip-hop history.
Miss Arnold, are you familiar with someone named Cornelia Smith?
Yes.
She had been rocking with Cornelia Smith for years, and the prosecutor wanted to lock that timeline in for the jury before going any further.
How are you familiar with him?
Dating my boyfriend.
How long have you been with Miss Smith?
Since 2016.
Cornelia Smith is one of the 2 convicted trigger men in the murder of young Dolph. The other shooter is Justin Johnson, who goes by Straight Drop. Both of these dudes have been tied through prosecutors and trial testimony to a $100,000 bounty on young Dolph's head, allegedly coming straight from Anthony Big Juck Mims, the OG brother of Yo Gotti, and a CMG executive. The man on trial that day was Hernandez-Govan, who prosecutors had hit with charges as the alleged middleman who recruited the shooters and ran messages between them and Big Juke. Angela Arnold was up there to back up what her boyfriend Cornelia Smith had said the day before. The prosecutor asked her if she knew Hernandez-Govan. She said she ain't really know him personally, but she had peeped him before riding with Cornelius over to his crib in the Orange Mound neighborhood of Memphis.
And how are you familiar, or where have you seen Mr. Govan?
A couple of times riding with Cornelius over his house.
Then the questioning shifted to where the rubber meets the road. The prosecutor asked her whether Cornelia Smith had ever put her up on conversations with Govan.
And so did Mr. Smith ever tell you about discussions that he might have had with Mr. Govan?
Yes.
That single yes unlocked the rest of the testimony, and the prosecutor immediately pushed for what those discussions actually were.
So what did he tell you?
He said something about a hit.
A hit on who?
On Dolph.
A hit on Dolph. Young Dolph. Shorty was sitting up there in court on the stand telling the jury that her dude had told her about a hit being put on young Dolph before Dolph ever caught one. Although she remembered the dollar figure being somewhere between $1 million and 9.5. Later courtroom testimony from Smith himself and other court reporting put the actual bag at $100,000. Then came the moment that pulled Yodi's whole family bloodline into the courtroom narrative. The prosecutor asked Arnold about Anthony Mims, also known as Big Juke, Yodi's older brother, and whether Smith had ever rocked with him directly.
To your knowledge, did Smith ever have direct contact with Big Juke?
No.
So, if there was no direct contact, the obvious follow-up was how any messages between the 2 of them moved at all. Arnold's answer laid out the whole chain.
How did he do that?
He said he would talk to Govan, send a message through him, and he would get a message to Juke.
She went on to spell out that the same chain ran in reverse with messages from Big Juke coming back down through Govan as the only go-between. That was the chain Arnold laid out under oath. Smith would holler at Govan. Govan would run the message up the ladder to Big Juke. Big Juke would send a response back through Govan, and Govan would slide it back to Smith. Big Juke, according to her account, was the one calling shots from the top. Yo Gotti's brother, the same big bro who got shot and killed back in January 2024 before any of this hit the courtroom. The day of the lick, step by step. Once the prosecutor locked in that chain of communication, the questioning fast-forwarded to the day young Dolph was killed, November 17, 2021. Angela Arnold walked the courtroom through that morning and afternoon in real quiet detail, and her account started clicking pieces of the prosecution's timeline into place that detectives had been trying to lock down for years. She testified that on the morning of November 17th, she was over at Cornelius Smith's pop's house in Memphis. Cornelius was there, too. At some point that morning before she dipped, Cornelius caught a phone call.
Do you remember him getting any calls that morning before you left his dad's house?
He got a phone call.
Around the same time, she remembered peeping a white car pull up across the street. That detail mattered because the getaway whip prosecutors had built their case around was a stolen white Mercedes-Benz. According to Smith's own testimony the day before, Justin Johnson scooped Smith up in the white Mercedes that morning, hit Gone's crib on Bradley Street briefly, then started cruising through the city looking for Dolph, eventually tailing him into the parking lot of Makeda's Cookies. By the time the prosecutor brought Arnold's testimony to later that same afternoon, young Dolph was dead. He had been hit 22 times inside that cookie shop while copping treats for a charity giveaway. The shooters got ghost, and then hours after the murder, Arnold's phone started ringing.
Did Cornelius Smith contact you later that day?
Yes.
Okay. How did he contact you? Did he call you?
The next question was about the phone number itself, because something about that call stood out to her.
Did he call you from his usual phone number?
Mm-mm. I didn't recognize the number.
Smith was hitting her line from a number she ain't recognized because he had left his own phone in the white Mercedes getaway whip. He told her to come scoop him from 2-lane apartments, somewhere she had never been. She drove her dark gray Chevy Trax over there and waited. When Smith hopped in her car, the first words out his mouth told her the whole story.
When he got into your car, did he talk to you at all?
Yeah.
What did he tell you?
He been hit.
So he got shot?
Mm-hmm.
The prosecutor wanted the jury to know exactly where Smith had caught one and how he said it had gone down.
Okay, do you know where he got shot at?
In the shoulder.
Did he tell you how he got shot?
Yeah. She then walked the courtroom through Smith's account of how the bullet had caught him at Makeda's Cookies after the shooting started getting returned.
He said he got shot when they went up there in Makeda's Cookies, and he said they were shooting it down.
That single set of answers dropped flat from the witness stand dragged everything that went down that day right into open court. According to Smith's own trial confession, he also caught a graze in the leg, and Justin Johnson had a slug graze his back during the same shootout. Then came the next piece of the puzzle, the one that ran everything right back to Hernandez. Van Smith told Arnold he needed to go grab his phone out the Mercedes.
So he told me we need to go up there and get his phone out the car, and he got in touch with Van.
She then named the spot the two of them slid through to get the phone back. When they pulled up to Pressure World, Govan was already posted sitting inside another car. Smith got out, walked to the back of the car wash with Govan, and the two cats kicked it privately while Arnold sat in her ride.
Govan got out of the car and they walked to the back and they was talking.
Arnold ain't catch what was said behind that car wash, but she did peep. Govan slid something to Cornelius Smith. After the meet, the next stop was AutoZone.
Did y'all ever stop at any point?
Yeah, we went to AutoZone.
Okay. So was it that same day that y'all went to AutoZone?
Yeah.
Okay. So why did y'all go to AutoZone?
To get a car cover.
That cover, prosecutors said, was for the white Mercedes. The whip had to get tucked. The trail had to go cold. According to Arnold, that's exactly what was popping off as the sun went down on November 17th, 2021. The higher power and chasing the bag. After the day of the murder, Arnold's testimony pulled the courtroom deeper into what jumped off in the weeks that came after. This is where the alleged conspiracy moved out of the immediate cleanup phase and into something quieter, something more deliberate, something more telling about how the chain of command was running. And this is where the name of the so-called higher power started showing up in the language being thrown around. 3 days or so after the shooting, Arnold testified Smith asked her to drive him back near Govan's neighborhood at night so he could wipe his prints off the white Mercedes that had been left abandoned out there.
But he thought his fingerprints was on the car. He wanted to wipe his prints off the car.
She dropped him at the top of Bradford Street, hit the block, and circled back to scoop him. According to Smith's own court testimony, he slid into a yard behind a house with a towel and peroxide, wiped down the door panel of the Mercedes, and dipped. He even coped to it in court that he had hit Govan up beforehand to put him on game that he'd be in the backyard. But then weeks later, Smith bumped into Govan in the streets of South Memphis. Arnold described what Smith had told her about that run-in. And the words she dropped in court are some of the most quoted lines from the whole trial.
He said he was he was in South Memphis going to get some pills, and he ran into him in traffic.
According to Arnold, Smith hit the horn. Govan made a U-turn, pulled in behind him, and got out. The conversation, the way Smith reportedly ran it back to Arnold, was direct and to the point.
Govan was like, "I've been looking for you. You good? You all right?"
Smith allegedly told Govan he was straight, and Govan came back with a line that became one of the most repeated quotes from the trial.
Govan was like, "I don't know what you done heard, but I ain't said nothing."
After the reassurance that no information had leaked, Govan promised the bag was on the way. He even allegedly mentioned sliding through Prey, Yodi's restaurant in Memphis, to make sure he got his cut.
I ain't said nothing, but we gonna get this money.
That alleged mention of Prey was a direct line right back to the CMG world, the world of Yo Gotti's label, his businesses, and his big bro, Big Juke. Prosecutors leaned heavy on this moment because it tied the bounty money to a CMG-affiliated spot, a piece of corroboration that linked the post-murder cleanup phase right to the alleged source of the bread. Arnold also backed up the broader picture of what Smith had told her about Big Juke running things from the top. In her December 17, 2021 police interview recorded only a month after the murder, prosecutors had her on tape saying everything in the conspiracy came from a higher power, and that higher power was Big Juke. She named Bobby Carter as a mutual homie connected to the white Mercedes, claiming Carter had called his Mercedes in because he was in on it too.
Some of it. I held back some information the first time. So the second time I went down there, I told him everything.
Her reasoning for holding back the first time, she explained from the stand, was simple and real human. She was scared. That fear, by her own testimony, was tied to who exactly was getting named in the story. Big Juke, before his own death in January 2024, was a high-level executive at CMG, the label founded and run by his little bro Yodi. A bounty allegedly coming from him, run through Gone, used to put shooters like Smith and Justin Johnson on a hit on a rival rapper, was in the prosecution's playbook. The reason Young Dolph was in the dirt, but Arnold's information, by her own admission, was secondhand. She was in the room with Big Juke. She wasn't on the line with Gone. Everything she knew because Cornelia Smith had told her, and that the defense made plain under cross-examination was the whole soft spot in her testimony. The cross-examination and the cracks in the story. The defense attorney for Hernandez Gone was a cat named Manny Aurora, an Atlanta lawyer with a long resume of repping high-profile rap industry clients. Aurora's first move was to lock in that Arnold ain't even want to be in that courtroom that day, and that everything she knew was a second-hand account passed through her boyfriend.
It's clear you don't want to be here today, do you?
No, I don't.
He pushed her on whether she had peeped any of Smith's testimony from the day before, and got her to cop that she had watched the start of the trial on TV. Then, methodically, he started asking her about the things she ain't actually known.
And with regards to what you testified to here today, I mean, everything's essentially what Cornelius has told you, right?
The question was set up to get one specific answer, and she gave it.
You're just repeating what he said to you.
Yeah.
Okay.
That single yes was for the defense. The whole ball game. Arnold ain't have no direct knowledge of any plot, any payment, any meeting with Big Juke. She had never spoken a word to Hernandez Gone in her life. Her information about the alleged hit, the alleged bounty, the alleged communication chain, all of it came through her boyfriend. Aurora also dropped an interesting wrinkle that messed up the prosecution's neat picture. Smith allegedly told Arnold at one point that he had heard Gone was a federal snitch.
Did Cornelius ever tell you that Mr. Govan is a federal snitch?
He said he heard something like that.
The implication, the defense suggested, was that Smith had a motive to put the case on Gone instead of himself or Justin Johnson. Cornelius Smith himself got put through a way more vicious cross-examination than Arnold during the trial's first day. His own attorney, the lawyer he had hired at the start of his case, had been paid roughly $50,000. And the source of that bag, according to questioning at trial, came straight out of CMG.
And you knew that, just we're all clear here, that money came from CMG, right?
Yeah, I don't know exactly who, but yeah.
All right.
The defense's framing was that Smith had taken bread from CMG-affiliated sources for his legal defense and had also kept that money even after. In his own words, his conscience had caught up with him. They walked him through letters he had wrote to his sisters from the cell.
You told them my lawyer is trying to tell me my best out is working with the feds, helping them.
The line that followed put the contradiction in plain view. The same dude saying he hadn't done it, but would lie to dodge a life bid. Smith, when pressed on those letters, said he was just speaking it to teeth, meaning he was talking out loud to his family and wasn't necessarily kicking the absolute truth. The defense fired back that Smith had told different stories to different audiences with versions to police in December 2021, March 2022, August 2022, and the witness stand in 2025. The question Aurora kept hammering was whether anybody could trust a dude whose story had switched up that many times. When Hernandez Govan got acquitted on August 21, 2025, after only about 3 hours of jury deliberation, the foreman put the reasoning in plain words to a local reporter from WG. He said the verdict came down to a lack of corroborating physical or independent evidence outside of the cooperating witnesses. The defense had successfully convinced the jury that the whole case was riding on the secondhand testimony of Angela Arnold and the switching confessions of Cornelius Smith. In a later interview, Govan talked about the indictment he had caught back in November 2022, only months after his daughter had passed away.
When you heard this, what went through your head?
I had to pinch myself.
He explained why the whole thing felt unreal to him at the moment he got the news.
Yeah, I thought it was a dream because I knew that was just not true.
Govan also flat out denied a rumor that had been circulating in the streets and online for years. The rumor that Yo Gotti or somebody from CMG had paid for his attorney, Manny Aurora.
That's not true. Yo Gotti or no one from CMG ever gave me a dime on my attorneys or anything related to this case.
So, the so-called confession from inside that courtroom, the one tying everything to a higher power, ended in a not guilty. And the higher power named in the testimony, Big Juke, was already in the dirt by January 2024 and was never charged or interviewed before he caught his fate. The real ex-girl and the verdict on the title. Now, we get to the part of the story that the title of so many videos floating around online don't actually match, because a lot of folks pushing this narrative have been quietly switching up two completely different women. And the facts only line up one way. Angela Arnold, the woman who got on the stand on day 2 of the Govern and has never been Yodi's ex-girlfriend. She's been rocking with Cornelius Smith, the convicted shooter, since 2016. She has never been romantically tied to Yodi in any reporting, any news article, or any court document. She is the partner of one of the dudes accused of pulling the trigger that day at Makida's Cookies. And she did not say sorry during her testimony. She testified sometimes mad reluctantly, sometimes through cross-examination that exposed the secondhand nature of what she knew. But at no point did she stand up and apologize for anything tied to Yodi. The actual person who is publicly known as Yodi's most prominent ex-girlfriend is Angela Simmons, the reality TV star and daughter of Reverend Run from Run DMC. The two of them went Instagram official on New Year's Eve 2022 and were rocking together for about 2.5 years. Simmons confirmed the breakup publicly back in June 2025 in an interview on Angie Martinez's IRL podcast. And on that show, Angela Simmons did not apologize. She did not reveal anybody's involvement in any murder. She talked about the relationship in personal terms.
And you've been quiet lately. Are you guys together still or no?
No,
No.
I'm not with him.
She made it clear that the breakup was her decision, not God's. And she sat with the host, explaining how the call to walk away wasn't easy. It's not your choice.
It's not your choice?
I wouldn't have chose it, but it was what was best.
She doubled back on it to make sure her answer was on the record because the host was pressing her on whether she was the one who walked away or not. Simmons did acknowledge that her feelings were involved and that there was real heartbreak in the experience of the breakup.
Was there heartbreak involved?
My feelings were involved.
Your feelings, yeah.
Yeah.
But none of that went down in a courtroom. None of it involved an apology, and none of it involved revealing murders. Simmons has, according to all the major reporting, never publicly addressed the Young Dolph murder, never spoken on Big Joke's alleged role in the bounty, never mentioned the Goen or Johnson trials, and never once weighed in on the broader CMG versus Paperroot Empire beef. Her public statements about the breakup have been consistent and limited to personal compatibility issues. Yo Gotti himself has also stayed completely silent on the murder allegations involving his late big bro. He has never been charged in the case, never named as a suspect in any court document, never named as a person of interest by Memphis police in the Dolph homicide. The lead investigator, retired MPD Sergeant Terrence Dabney, testified in the Goen trial that Big Juck was a suspect, but Yodi was not. Yodi, instead of speaking on the case, has been enrolled at UCLA's Anderson School of Management since December 2023, sitting in a class on corporate valuation while still running CMG. In his public conversations, Gotti has stuck to talking about his music, his business, his transition out of the streets, and his philosophy on hip-hop, creating economic opportunities for the culture. He has stayed in that lane even as the trials around his late brother played out in Memphis. He hasn't addressed the Dolph case directly. He hasn't addressed the trial of Hernandez Goen. He hasn't addressed Big Juke's alleged role in the bounty. And on his social media, searches show no mention of his late big bro in connection with the case. No mention of Dolph. No mention of any of the trials. So when you put all of this together, the picture gets clear. The title that has been pushed across YouTube and across other platforms, the one claiming Yodi's ex-girlfriend apologized in court and revealed all his murders, ain't supported by what actually went down. The woman who testified, Angela Arnold, was not Yodi's ex-girlfriend. She did not apologize. The murders she testified about in plural were really one murder: the killing of young Dolph at Makida's Cookies on November 17, 2021. And the person she ultimately put on as the higher power behind that killing was not Yo Gotti. It was his late big bro, Big Juke, who was killed in January 2024 before he could ever catch a charge or sit down with detectives. The actual ex-girlfriend, Angela Simmons, has stayed completely quiet on the criminal allegations and has only spoken in personal terms about why the relationship ran its course. The trial in question ended in an acquit for Hernandez Gon. And Yodi, the actual subject of the title, has never been charged in connection with the Dolph murder and hasn't said a word publicly on any of it. The story being pushed in many of those titles, in short, is built on a mix-up of names, an exaggeration of testimony, and a misread of what was actually said in court. The real story is simpler, sadder, and a whole lot more complicated than any single headline can hold. Young Dolph was killed. 2 shooters were convicted. A middleman walked out free. A higher power allegedly was Big Juke. And he, like Dolph, ain't around to answer for none of it. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed watching this video, click on one of the boxes playing on your screen to watch more similar content.